Call this November 6th City Council meeting to order. Please rise for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Orlovsky, roll call, please.
Michelle Volk.
Here.
Joshua Lee.
Here.
John Bermel.
Here.
And Dan Wolter.
Here.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Is there anyone in the audience or online who wishes to speak during citizen comment? If you are here for one of our later items, there will be opportunity for that at that part of the public hearing. But if not, please step forward, state your name and address, and I ask you to keep it to under 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Okay. I don't have any comment on the agenda per se. I'm here for the city comment or the public comment.
Great.
Relating to members of the community.
Perfect.
My name is Mike Jackson. I live at 16562 Lynch Path, and that is in Lakeville. I've been a property owner and taxpayer in Lakeville since 1985. By my math, I think that makes it 38 years. I'm because I don't know where else to go or whom else to help, but I'm requesting help from whomever I can get it from with regard to repairs to my property sustained from damage that this council approved in 2015. In 2015, we were neighbors to a development that was approved by the Planning Commission and the City Council. Our concern at the time was water runoff and erosion damage. Due to the development, city staff seemed unconcerned at the time. We made it through the city meetings, the neighborhood meetings, the planning commission meetings, and then ultimately to the approval process in this room, in this building in 2015. The development was called Silvarum, and I don't think any of you were on the council at that time. We weren't opposed to the development by any means. In fact, we've gained 8 wonderful neighbors, but the damage to our property continues today due to runoff from stormwater that's in a culvert, ends at my property line, and then runs over the surface approximately 100 feet, drops 20 feet in that 100, and goes to a wetland on my property. That was our concern at the time, and when I voiced that concern at the meeting where the council approved the development, I wish I knew who it was, but one of the members said when I got up, "What happens when this does damage my property?" He said, and I'm quoting, "The city will take care of it." That was in 2015. I have complained every year to city engineering. I have yet to have a real plan, and I have yet to have a plan in place or an easement to be executed on my property. So if anybody can help me, I'm more than willing to have dialogue, but that's my complaint. I hope it doesn't fall on deaf ears. I'm a little bit anxious and nervous, so that's my thing. I've been working with Zach Johnson, doesn't seem to get anywhere ever. Not saying anything bad about anybody in the city, but that's my impression. So,
Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
That's my deal. If you can help me out, anybody on the background, please, by all means. Zach has my contact info. Thank you.
Can we have some follow-up to?
We'll be glad to give you some detail on the.
Very good.
We have quite the history on this project, so.
Very good. Thank you. Anyone else in the audience here for public comment? None online? All right. Mr. Miller, any additional information for the agenda?
Nothing tonight.
All right, then let's go ahead and move on to the Park and Recreation Quarterly Report from Director John Hennon.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. This is the Parks and Recreation Quarterly Report for the months of August, September, and October. Starting off with some construction projects. First is the construction of the neighborhood park in the Nob Hill development up in your upper left-hand corner. Construction commenced in late May, and you can see we completed that here in the month of October. A few pickleball courts, basketball court, playground area, open green space, and a looping trail system. So that project turned out nice. The contractor does nice work. This is the third project we've done with Blackstone Contracting. Some park bond referendum updates. Antlers Park continues to move forward. You can see that a lot of turf establishment has happened on the south side, more of a seed blend, and then we've been putting some. The contractor's been installing some sod here the last couple of weeks. So substantial completion for the park is expected later this month. Substantial completion of the pavilion would be in December. So our goal is to open up in the month of May of next year. So looking forward to that. Also, as part of the park bond referendum was the renovation of Ritter Farm Park Cabin with an addition. This is the new Ed Mako Environmental Learning Center. We had the grand opening on October 14th. Ed's family was present, so that was nice that they could attend. And we had about 60 individuals that participated and came to our event on that Saturday morning. Had a nice presentation by the Raptor Center as well. Also, park referendum projects, staff and the consultants continue to work on the design of Avonlea Community Park. If you recall, this is at the corner of 185th Street and Cedar Avenue. Just to touch base on a few of the amenities includes pickleball courts, a nice playground, the splash pad where the Lakeville Lions donated $500,000 towards that, a baseball facility with some nice upgrades, and if you recall, the Lakeville Baseball Association has committed to $1 million donation towards that over 10 years. And then we're going to plan on installing a little cricket pitch along with 5 athletic decks. So plans are to go out for bid on this project late January, early February of next year, construct it next year, and then open it up in 2025. Under park maintenance, staff worked with local contractor Freege's Landscaping and Excavating to install some irrigation on 5 softball fields at Aronson Park. Now, all 9 softball fields and athletic decks will be irrigated. If you recall, about a month or so ago, Lakeville Fast Pitch donated $25,000 towards this project, so that was a nice improvement to Aronson Park. Also, we worked with the construction services on the reconstruction of all the trails at Casperson Park, and that's the picture down in the lower right. Some other park maintenance projects. We had the horseback riders ask for a little hitching block so they can get onto their horses a little easier, and that's what you see on the left-hand side. We also took down the old Environmental Learning Center at Ritter Farm Park, which is noted on the photo on the bottom, and that was taken out about a month and a half ago or so, and we'll be using that area for a future outdoor education little area. Maybe it's going to be a little fire pit, maybe a pergola, and some and just an opportunity to do some additional educational outdoor programming. Also, in park maintenance, each year we go out and improve on access to a warming house, and this year was Dakota Heights, which you can see on your left. Staff also did some concrete repairs down at the Veterans Memorial at Aronson Park. And then in preparation for the winter months, we're out doing some tree trimming, warming house repairs, irrigation shutoff, and some restroom closures. Under recreation, we finished our summer programming, and the final participation numbers totaled about 11,610 registrations. So that's athletics for adults, kids, all the programming. There's just a list of a couple of them on the right-hand side. So a very busy summer that Casey and Susan did a nice job on. But again, over 11,600 registrants for our programmings and leagues and classes. One program that was new this year was a kayaking program that was offered at Orchard Lake, on Orchard Lake. We had about 71 teams that played in the Fall Classic Pickleball Tournament, and adult leagues included soccer, bocce, bags, and softball, and had about 423 participants in our adult leagues this summer. Recreation staff also held an annual haunted forest on October 28th. With the cold weather, the numbers are down a bit, but we still believe we had about 1,500 participants. So it was fun to have all the volunteers and everyone that came out to enjoy that event. At the Arts Center, we finished up Live at the Lake. That was that concert series of June through August, about 11 or 12 free performances every Wednesday. The Arts Center is taking applications for the 2024 season that will open up here in December. And the weekly attendance, we believe, ranged anywhere from 600 to 1,300 people each evening that we had our performances. Also, you'll note some pictures from the annual Lakeville Arts Festival. This is our 20th year, and we had close to 100 artists, and I think it was record-breaking numbers that attended, and artists were, again, about 100, and they did, I think, some of their best sales that they've ever had at the Arts Festival this year. Joe and his staff also provided some art in the park kits at the puppet shows. So as the season ended, there's about 300 art kits that were distributed. And then obviously you have numerous programs at the Arts Center, including pottery, painting, and some adult workshops. An exciting purchase for the Arts Center was the Fine Arts Building. That was the old ISD 194 Alternative Learning Center. And it didn't take long for Joe and Scarlett to move right in there. I think it closed at 10 o'clock. They were in by 11. And you can tell they're utilizing every square inch of that building. And now they'll be able to address the waiting list for pottery and painting classes. And you can see they got it set up for ceramic and painting and drawing and rehearsal studios. So they're real excited to move in there. And it's going to be a great addition to their programming. Over at the Heritage Center, a couple big fundraising events. One is the Waffle Breakfast, had about 330 folks that attended that. Then each year, the active adults sell the Metro Dining Cards as a fundraising event, and that's about 138 restaurants in the South Metro area. You basically buy these cards, and once a month you can go to this restaurant, buy an entree, and get an entree free. So again, that is a fundraising event for the active adults. Also at the Heritage Center, they had some numerous popular programs such as Lakeville Luncheons, Coffee with a Cop, a nature walk, and a drum fit program as well. And the current membership is at 1,466, which is an all-time record. So the active adults programs continue to increase, and it's great to see those participants. And again, this facility we wouldn't be able to run this facility without the volunteers, and there's about 100 of them that help us do these programmings each and every year. And then just looking ahead, we have the winter spring brochure that'll be mailed out November 18th, and Ritterfest will occur on January 20th of 2024. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Any questions? I had one. And if you don't have this number now, I would be interested in future reports. You talked about 11,000 plus participants.
Yep.
What's the capacity generally? I mean, I'm curious what percentage of the spots are being utilized.
Like the offerings, you're saying like...
of what we were offering.
Yeah.
What's the percentage of the capacity that we're utilizing?
Yeah, I have to get back to you on that. But you're saying, let's say if we can handle 20 as 15 participate or something like that?
As a big number, not individually, but if there are 12,000 participant spots available among all the programs, using 11.
Yeah, I'd have to get back to you on that one.
Okay.
But yeah. But a lot of good numbers this year. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Great report. Appreciate it. All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda, which is our routine matters of the city. Are there any questions, comments, removals of items? All right, then can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move approval. Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We'll go into the action items. Number 7. Finance Director Julie Stahl, could you, oh, well, you're already there. Could you get us going on the first public hearing?
Thank you, Acting Mayor Lee and Council. With our first action item is a public hearing, holding a public hearing for a special service district. The council approved this special service district back in 1998, and what the advisory board is they're asking for is doing the public hearing and then setting the service charge for taxes payable 2024 and adopting their budget, which runs from July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025. This is a requirement of the statute that this special service district was set up under, the 428A, that we hold the public hearing, notices are mailed to the business owners. But the kind of unique situation is the advisory board is not asking for any service charge again. So it's a zero service charge, nothing will be on their taxes. The last year that this service charge was in place was 2019. So the fund balance has been able to sustain and pay for their budgets. So with that, I'll open up the public hearing or ask for any questions from council.
Before we go to the public, is there any question from the council? Right. So, this is a public hearing, so if there is anyone here that wishes to speak on this public hearing item, just like public comment, you'll have three minutes. Is there anyone here to speak on this one? Okay. Can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second. Ms. Orlovsky, can we have a roll call, please?
Volk,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Bermel,
Aye.
Walter.
Aye.
All right, it's approved.
No, that was just closing.
Oh,
the-
sorry,
yeah.
sorry, you're right. I always do that too. I do have a question about this one because it looked like there was some sponsorship money being placed in the next couple of years, almost running it down more quickly. So has there been conversations with the advisory board about what's happening after that point?
I have not been privy to those conversations, so I'm not sure what they're planning with the sponsorships.
Because that's a new item,
It's a
different
new-
from last year.
It's a new item, and I don't know if they've had any discussions about once the money is gone out of the budget, what they plan on doing. I don't think they've had that discussion.
Okay. Well, I know that that's been on the horizon for a while, but it's coming sooner than later now. So I hope the advisory board takes that into consideration as they meet going forward. All right, so I guess then that means we go on to the motion, correct? So is there a motion on this public hearing? Yeah.
I move to approve the resolution imposing a service charge for special district number 1 for a special service district number 1 for taxes payable 2024.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Ms. Orlovsky, can you do a roll call?
Lee,
Aye.
Bermel,
Aye.
Walter, Volk.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Thank you. All right, let's move on to the next one.
Thank you very much. So the second item is we're requesting to hold a public hearing to adopt the resolution on unpaid special charges for diseased trees. We adopted or had asked council to adopt a special assessment policy that would help us deal with all of the diseased, emerald ash borer problem. So what it does is it streamlines the process. We're not having to issue special assessment agreements with each owner. And it gives the owners and businesses an opportunity to spread it out over a few years on their taxes to lessen the burden. It's also the most equitable way to treat these costs. So it's reimbursing the city for the cost of the removals. It's not a delinquency of any kind. It's just giving them this opportunity. It's like I mentioned, the least labor-intensive method. And you'll notice there was one consent item for a special assessment agreement. That was our last one that we would do that way. So all others will follow this. So in the spring and in the fall, they'll fall into this same category where we just lump a lot of them together as we deal with this infestation. So with that, are there any questions? We had one property that is on the 1-year term, 2 properties that are on the 3-year term of the assessment, and then 1 property that reached the dollar amount that took it to the 5-year assessment term. So with that, I'll stand for any questions, or if you want to open up the public hearing.
Councilmember Volk?
Can I just get clarification then? Because I didn't go backwards and look. So the property owners on this one, all of those would have been in a consent agenda format before this? Or how are we rolling that? Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, it's been a mix. So we started out the process of getting individual agreements, realizing that they're just going to keep adding to it, and that's very staff time intensive. So that's where we adopted the policies, like, no, we're going to treat this because we have the statutory ability to do this under the nuisance control of diseased trees. So it's getting away from those individual agreements where the terms, it's just trying to, then you have to establish the interest rate each time, when those are set. This sets the interest rate according to the policy, which is based on the last bond issuance that we had. So, and I've not been privy to the actual agreements and how forestry worked with the individual homeowners. So I'm not sure if I answered your question. So
No, I just want to make sure we've got the right processes in place. I agree. I mean, obviously the homeowners agreed to this, and I agree, and so I'm not disputing that. I'm just trying to make sure that we had all our ducks in a row before we even approve this. Does that make sense?
yes, they're still signing a form saying that they are not going to dispute the charges, and I believe we had the city attorney help make sure that we were following all the logistics of, yeah, they're still saying we can come onto the property, remove the trees at the city's cost, and then following the next step in the process of putting or assessing to the property, so the city can collect those charges.
All this is doing is instead of having individual agreements, we're doing it once or twice a year at one time.
Right. I just wanted to make sure we had dotted those i's, crossed the t's as we were making this transition.
Yes, we have.
That's what I'm
We have.
trying to make sure.
Very
That's all.
thorough, yes.
And I didn't research it on my own. I'm just, and I could have looked that up and probably realized that you had done that, but I figured I got you here, I'll ask.
I had a question about there's one property where the fee is being charged over 3 years, but it looks like it's technically, let me back up. It's a 1-year agreement, but technically it looks like could be a 3-year. Was that something because it meets the over $1,001 threshold?
How we set it up was that the base cost, the cost of removing the trees, if that's where the assessment term is set. So
I see.
the base amount of $1,000, I know.
Not including the administrative
Not
fee.
including the administrative fee,
I
correct.
see. Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, so again, this is a public hearing, so if there's anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on this, you can step up to the podium. Seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, on to the actual resolution. Is there any further discussion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution adopting assessments for the unpaid special charges.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Ms. Orlowski, could you do a roll call?
Bermel,
Aye.
Walter, Volk,
Aye.
Lee.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Is there any new or unfinished business for tonight? Any announcements? All right, the next meetings are listed up on the screen. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Passes. We're adjourned.